I'm continuing with my examination of the information that the FBI sent to me. I would also like to add that during this time I have had NASA and the Department of Defense continue to do things to my left ear while I've been talking, which of course then results in a lot of pauses and distractions and ums from me because it's painful. At the same time that they've been targeting me to my ear, they have also been doing things to the tooth that is on that side as well, that has the metal where it vibrates when they use technology to do something to it. So, last night I slept most of the night, but I was wakened early in the morning because of torture to my teeth. And it continued until I got out of bed, and then after I got out of bed, it stopped. Then, basically they tortured me until I got out of bed. So they have not quit what they're doing, even though I've already exposed them for having used me in MK Ultra and used my parents, destroying records from 1977, and then implanting me for teletorture basically in 1995. Prior to 1995, a couple of things were done to trigger things in me that were like epilepsy, and that occurred in 1992. My mother was being targeted with technology that caused extreme and severe dizzy spells and nausea. She was throwing up. Our dogs were being targeted. They were falling off the deck. There was nothing wrong with them physically, but they were getting dizzy all of a sudden, just like my mother, and then they were falling, plummeting off of the deck because of it. Those things all I've written about, but I believe those things were occurring in 1982 when my mom was sick and when the dogs were going off the deck. But I would have to think really hard and try to remember if it was then or if it was right after. Mike Nichols hijacked my car, who had Canadian parents. And then I think FBI connected adoptive parents in the U.S. And that was 1985 when he rolled my car. And then I was implanted. And that was the next time that I was living with my parents since high school. But I'm pretty sure that my mother had this very minor plastic surgery in 1982, and I believe that's the same time that she was being targeted for dizzy spells, that our dogs were being targeted and injured, and that I was also being targeted in 1992 with something that caused drooling and an epilepsy effect. I then went to the East Coast and worked as a nanny, and that never occurred over there. But when I returned to Oregon, the next time I had an incident when I had the epilepsy effect triggered, I was at a public beach in Oregon with my friend Monica, and we went camping. And it was done to me there. I remember we met some people who had foreign accents on the beach. I think they were from Europe. and we talked to them for a while. I was interested, curious, because I hadn't met anybody, I didn't know there were many people in that area with European accents. And then I didn't have another incident of this this epilepsy thing done to me until I was leaving the employment of Rabbi Rose and Lorraine Rose in 1998, or 1997, close to 1998. And at that time that I left their house, right after she had done the same day she decided to let me go, I was assaulted on the way out from the house. And I had to go to their neighbor's house and ask for a drink of water because I was extremely dizzy and sick. And then when I had a drink of water, I just leaned over their sink and was drooling into the sink. It was basically like throwing up. But I never threw up. It caused me to have an excessive amount of drooling, which I was told is the same thing for epilepsy sufferers as throwing up. Sometimes you don't actually vomit. It's an extreme overproduction of saliva that your body produces in the same way that, you might throw up. And the house that I went to was the house of a gay couple, two men. One of them, I believe, was Michael Shrunk for the Portland District Attorney's Office. I'm not sure, but I know his name was Michael, and he was a high-power attorney in Portland somewhere. And I found out later that the Michael Shrunk person who oversaw my being held hostage with some roommates in 1997 was sort of fit the description, but anyway, they lived in the same little cul-de-sac as the Roses. And prior to Lorraine letting me go, I had met them and said that, I was interested in making a little additional money, and that I would be willing to work for them if they needed some assistance and personal assistance. One of them had AIDS, one of them was dying with AIDS. And I wanted to let them know that I was willing to work for them, even if one of them had AIDS. And after I told Lorraine that I might be interested in doing something like that, she said, "I need you full-time." And then she was upset that I was going to college too, and said that if I went to college, that basically I couldn't work for her. So that's when she let me go. So I went over to their house and drooled in their sink, which I think freaked one of them out. I think he wondered what in the world I was doing. So, if you wanted to know what it was a response to being tortured by the United States. And then that sort of effect, that didn't occur again until, actually it didn't really occur hardly ever, for a long time. And the next time that I really remember it happening was after I was leaving, was several years later, after I was leaving Tennessee and coming back to Oregon about a year ago. And now it's 2012. But in 2011, I came back over here and I had a couple of incidents where, 2 times where I was drooling in my sink here where I live now. So this sort of weird epilepsy type thing has been unique only to Oregon, for whatever reason. The driving thing that I was talking about, I talked about how the FBI gave me some information from my driving record because they were checking on this Judge Gerald Warren thing of suspending my license. They have marked that I had 6 tickets at the time. And and it says that the driver's license, according to they have 6 tickets, and then it says status on September 21st, 2007. Suspended. Refer to driver's license. And then it says suspended. Driver's license uninsured. And then DWS violation. This is extremely misleading because this record that they pulled up on me has nothing to do with when I was being falsely suspended. My license was not suspended on 3/13/05 because I was uninsured and because I had committed a DWS violation. That's not true. I confirmed with the DMV at the time that there was no violation. And actually, by 3/13/05, it may have then been suspended because I didn't pay off some tickets later after the law changed. However, I was pulled over and told that my license was suspended in 2004, not 2005. So when I was pulled over in, according to the Coburg police records, in 2004, that was an illegal suspension. So basically what we have here is the FBI and police trying to cover up what happened. They're trying to make it look like I'm saying my license was illegally suspended, and they're covering up the illegal suspension with what was then later a legal suspension because they kicked me out of college. They blocked my ability to travel and keep my financial aid. And because they did that, then later, subsequently, as a result, I did have my license suspended because the law in Washington State changed and they allowed persons' licenses to be suspended for unpaid tickets. So after my driver's license was illegally suspended, when I did not have a suspension on my license at all, when I was commuting back and forth between Washington and Oregon State in the latter part of 2004, which was after I talked to the FBI SSAs. When I was first targeted and had it illegally suspended, the judge refused to drop that, and the FBI never made any mention at all about public corruption and the fact that that happened until 2007 when they decided to make this report and claim that it was just because of a telephone call I made. And then their action on this, for I guess throwing it out, was to pull up driver's license stuff that basically covers up